All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We are taking a truly fascinating 2,000-year-old philosophy and, well, translating it into a highly practical toolkit for your modern life. We live in an era that is just constantly demanding our attention, but the actual blueprint for surviving all of this, it was written millennia ago. So today, we're going to bridge that gap. We're going to unpack how the timeless wisdom of the Stoic mindset can seriously become your ultimate shield against the crushing weight of digital overwhelm, workplace burnout, and just everyday chaos. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever felt like your modern life is just falling apart? I know it's a heavy question, but it's an incredibly important one to ask. Maybe you've lost something recently, a job, a relationship, or honestly, even just your daily confidence. Or perhaps you're simply exhausted from carrying around these burdens that literally no one else can see. We so often feel this deep sense of exhaustion from the invisible pressures of our hyper-connected world. And those invisible pressures make up what we can basically call the modern storm. We're just constantly battered by looming deadlines, a never-ending stream of unread messages. And look, we all have that one inbox with like 5,000 unread emails, right? Not to mention the collective dread we all feel hearing that Slack notification sound. Then there are unpredictable economic shifts and the quiet, persistent anxiety of social media comparison. When faced with this daily hurricane, most of us naturally react with fear, anger, or even despair. It really does feel impossible to keep your head above water when the waves just keep crashing down. But let's contrast that chaotic modern world, which is so defined by endless anxiety and reaction, with the calm ancient mind. Over 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers known as the Stoics developed a mindset so incredibly powerful that it helped everyone, from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius writing in a freezing war tent to an enslaved man named Epictetus, survive life's absolute darkest and most volatile moments. They are literally the ultimate mentors for our modern chaos, and their lessons are exactly what we need to build resilience today. So, moving right into Section 1, filter what you control. This is all about surviving the workplace and the economy. And this brilliantly illustrates the Stoic metaphor of a sailor crossing the sea. Look, the sailor cannot control the wind or stop the storm, but they can always adjust their sails. On one side, you've got the modern storm. These are things completely out of your control, like the overall economy, corporate layoffs, or, a sudden internet outage right before a huge meeting. But on the other side is your ship, the things firmly in your control. Your attitude, updating your resume, or simply just your breathing in a highly stressful moment. Most of our suffering comes from trying to control that modern storm. True freedom, that actually begins when we focus strictly on steering our own ship. Which leads us to a profound insight. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Think about standing in the ocean, trying to physically stop every single wave from hitting you. It's entirely impossible. And life comes in waves too. Loss, success, failure, joy, rapid change. The Stoics practiced accepting reality instead of fighting it, simply because trying to fight the inevitable only drains you. Acceptance clears your mind so you can strategically figure out your next move. Remember, acceptance creates strength, while resistance just creates more suffering. So let's make this actionable for you. Whenever life gets overwhelming, try this 3-step habit. Step 1, identify the overwhelming situation. Step 2, hit pause and ask yourself, what part of this situation is actually within my control? And step 3, focus all your energy exactly there. Your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, these belong to you. Other people's opinions or the state of the stock market absolutely do not. Practicing this simple habit shifts your focus away from the noise and puts you right back in the driver's seat. It can honestly change your entire life. All right, on to Section 2, transform stress into strength, where we'll look at navigating career setbacks. Honestly, there is no better way to summarize this entire concept than with this famous quote from Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius: "The obstacle is the way." Challenges don't always weaken us. In fact, they usually reveal strengths we never even knew we had. When you face a crashed server, a completely failed project, or a really tough client, it is so easy to feel defeated. But the Stoics viewed these exact moments as the reps required to build a resilient mind, like going to the gym for your brain. The hardship isn't blocking your path, the hardship literally is the path. Let's look at how this actually plays out in real time. When things go wrong, the reactive modern mind immediately asks, why is this happening to me? Why is this project failing? It's a mindset pretty deeply rooted in victimhood. But the Stoic modern mind, it looks at the exact same failure and asks, what leadership skills is this failure teaching me? Do you see the difference there? Just by asking a different question, you instantly transform workplace suffering into undeniable, tangible growth. And that growth is exactly what builds true character. Qualities like kindness, patience, integrity, and discipline, they are forged under pressure. When the workplace is super comfortable and everything is just easy, anyone can appear confident. But comfort is temporary. Real character shows up during difficulty. The Stoics loved the metaphor of a tree growing on a harsh, windy mountain. The stronger the wind blows, the deeper the tree's roots are forced to grow just to survive. Hard times don't just create your character. They reveal those deep roots you've been growing all along. Which brings us to Section 3, Anchor Your Restless Mind. Let's talk about conquering digital overwhelm and doom scrolling. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how staggering it is to realize that 90% of our anxiety is tied up in imagined future disasters or obsessively replaying past emails, while only 10% is rooted in actual present reality. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once reminded us that we often suffer far more in our imagination than in reality. And man, our modern digital lives put this into overdrive. We doom scroll through terrible news and invent these massive fears in our heads about things that haven't even happened yet, instead of just dealing with what's actually right in front of us. So the absolutely crucial point is this. Reality exists only in this moment. Return to the present. Seriously, I encourage you to log off, step away from the screen, take a deep breath, and just look around you. The vast, vast majority of the disasters your mind is currently predicting, they are not happening right now in the room with you. Stoicism teaches us that peace lives exclusively in the present moment, and we have to intentionally anchor ourselves there. Because if we don't anchor ourselves, we end up on this exhausting, endless treadmill. Look at year 1. We think peace is going to come from getting that promotion. At year 5, we're totally sure it'll come from chasing financial success. But by year 10, we usually finally realize what Epictetus taught thousands of years ago. Literally, no amount of money, success, or external validation can guarantee a calm mind. Happiness doesn't depend on external events at all. It depends entirely on how we interpret them. Inner peace cannot be bought. It must be cultivated, day by day, choice by choice. And honestly, we only have so much time to cultivate it. You only have one day you can actually appreciate, and that is today. One of the most powerful Stoic practices was the act of remembering our own mortality. Not to make us afraid or to be morbid, but to snap us out of our petty complaints. Remembering that our time is limited is the ultimate tool to help us stop whining and focus on what truly matters, right here, right now, rather than just squandering our energy on things we can't control.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. If today were your last ordinary day, would you spend it doom scrolling? Would you spend it worrying about a work email, complaining about the economy, or holding on to some silly grudge? Probably not. You don't need a perfect life to experience peace. You just need the right mindset. The storms of modern life are completely inevitable, but your response is your greatest power. Start focusing on what you control, turn your obstacles into opportunities, and reclaim your present moment. The choice, as the Stoics would tell us, is entirely yours.